Hello and welcome to another enlightening episode of the Merging Life and Money Show. I am your host, Marie-Jo César, a proud member of a very special generation. As I am celebrating another birthday today, yes, I am a proud 1959 baby. I've been doing a lot of thinking about the incredible journey my generation has been on. In this episode, I am going to explore a term that might be new to many of you, Exannuals. This term uniquely describes those of us born in the transformative years between 1940s and 1960, whom my kids and grandkids would call the elderly. We have witnessed and adapted to more changes than any generation before us, from the dawn of color TVs to the rise of the internet and beyond. And did I say AI? Imagine a world where phones has cords, music lived only on vinyl records, and watching a man walk on the moon was a pinnacle of technological advancement. That is the world we grew up in. Fast forward to today, and we are navigating a digital era that once seemed like science fiction. So, whether you are part of this unique cohort, keen to reminisce, or are from a younger generation, curious about the roots of the tech infused world today, this episode is for you. Together, we are going to weave through the rich tapestry of time, sharing stories and insights from our journey. Welcome to the Merging Life and Money Show. So grab your favorite drink, settle in, and let's embark on a nostalgic yet enlightening journey through the life and times of the Exannuals. Before I dive into the first segment, I want to give you a little sneak peek into what I am going to talk about today. You know, as I was preparing for this episode, I couldn't help but think about how our journey, yes, yours and mine, has been so rich and varied. Born in an era of rotary phones and vinyl records, who would have thought that we would be streaming podcasts and using smartphones today? It's almost like living in two different worlds, isn't it? I will start by taking you back to the post war years, the 40s and the 50s. A world recovering from war, yet brimming with hope and optimism. I will share stories about how this era, with its simplicity and emerging new ideas, shaped our early perceptions of life and money. You might even find some of these stories mirroring your own family tales. Then we will skate into the 60s and 70s, the times of bell bottom, rock and roll, and some serious social changes. I will talk about how these decades were not just about great music and fashion, but also about significant movements that shifted our worldview. And I am sure many of you remember how these events influenced your thoughts and life choices. Moving on, I will guide you through the 80s and 90s, the dawn of the digital age. This was when things started to change at a breakneck pace. We went from analog to digital. We witnessed the birth of the internet, and we saw the world shrinking into what I call a global village. I will share some personal stories about adapting to these changes as well. And hey, I would love to hear your stories too. So feel free to share them with me. Lastly, I will talk about the 2000s to the present day, our era now. It is a time of rapid technological advancements and social media. So I will explore how we as the Exannuals are not just adapting, but also influencing the modern world with our wisdom, and with our experience. So, together, we will reminisce, we will laugh, maybe get a bit nostalgic, and most importantly, gain insights into how our past have shaped our present. Now I'm going back to the very beginning of the Exannual story, the dawn of a new era, spanning the 40s to the 60s. This period was more than just the years of their birth, it was a time of immense global change and newfound hope. The world was reshaping itself in the aftermath of the Second World War, and with that came a wave of optimism, innovation, and a sense that anything was possible. I'm going to explore what life was like in those foundational years. I will talk about the societal norms, the family dynamics, and the early influences that started to mold us, the ex-annuals or the elderly. This was an era marked by a simpler way of life, yet it laid the groundwork for some of the most significant changes in modern history. Remember, this was a time when televisions were just making their way into households, radios were the centerpiece of family entertainment, and children played outside until the streetlights came on. It was a world vastly different from today, yet it set the stage for everything that was to come. As we step into this nostalgic journey, think about how these years, with their simplicity, challenges, and early technological advancements, influence not just our personal lives, but the entire fabric of society. Let's look at how growing up in this era shaped our views on family, work, and finance. So, how did it prepare us for the incredible changes we would later embrace in the digital age? I'm going to start with the late 1940s when the world was emerging from the shadow of World War II, a conflict that has reshaped not just geopolitical boundaries, but also societal norms. Many countries were in the throes of rebuilding, leading to a period of economic recovery and growth. This era brought about a sense of relief, hope, and a collective drive to build a better future. In the United States and Europe, the post war period ushered in a wave of prosperity. The American dream became a tangible goal for many, characterized by a stable job, a house in the suburbs, and a car in every driveway. This was the era of the baby boomers, a term that would later be used to describe those born during this period of significant population growth. Fast forward to the 1950s, we saw the rise of consumerism, the introduction of new technologies and household appliances that change our daily lives. The refrigerators and washing machines and televisions became common household items, symbolizing comfort and modernity. It was a time of optimism where the focus shifted from mere survival to living a comfortable life. The 1960s, on the other hand, were a stark contrast. This decade was marked by significant societal changes and a cultural revolution. The civil rights movement in the United States, the feminist movement, and the anti Vietnam War protests were indicative of a society seeking equality, peace, and more profound freedoms. The world of finance and business began to evolve as well, with more opportunities opening up and a shift in how people viewed money and wealth. Music, fashion, and art were at the forefront of this cultural shift. The Beatles, the Rolling Stones, the Temptations, and other iconic bands changed the music scene forever. Miniskirts, bell bottoms, and tie dye became symbols of a generation that was all about expression and breaking free from the conservative norms of the previous decades. It is fascinating to think about how growing up in this era shaped our attitude towards life and money. We witnessed the transformation from saving and conservatism to spending and enjoying the newfound prosperity. This period laid the groundwork for our understanding of finance, work, and the balance between the two. As we reflect on these formative years, it is clear that the post war world of the 1940s to the 1960s was not just about recovery and growth. It was about laying the foundation for a generation that would come to be known for its resilience, adaptability, and unquenchable thirst for change. I would be remiss if I did not mention that Louis Armstrong's smooth jazz, lead Bailey's profound blues, and B.B. King's soulful riffs provided a soundtrack to our lives that was diverse as our experiences. These artists taught us the importance of resilience and creativity and the power of songs to capture the essence of an era. Now, let's bring this era to life with some personal stories from individuals born during those transformative years. These stories not only reflect the spirit of the times, but also illustrate how the experiences of our early years can shape our perspectives on life and money. First, meet James. James was born in 1948 in a small town in Ohio. James grew up in a quintessential post war family. His father returned from the war and took up a job at a local factory, and his mother was a homemaker. The sense of community was strong, and life was about simple joys and playing baseball in the streets and gathering around the radio for the evening news, for example. And James recalls how his parents, having lived through the Great Depression and the war, instilled in him the value of saving and the importance of hard work. These principles guided James throughout his life, influencing his decision about spending, saving, and investing. Then there is Maria, born in 1955 in Brooklyn, New York. Maria's story is one of witnessing the cultural shift firsthand. Her parents were immigrants who valued education and hard work above all else. However, Maria was drawn to the arts and the burgeoning counterculture of the time. She remembers the first time she heard the Beatles and how it felt like a whole new world opening up. So Maria's journeys reflects the duality of this era, the traditional values instilled by her parents and the revolutionary spirit of the 60s. This duality played a significant role in how she approached her career and finances, balancing practicality with a passion for the art. And lastly, let's talk about Robert. Robert was born in 1962 in the heart of London. Growing up during a time of immense social and cultural change, Robert was influenced heavily by the youth movement and the push for social reforms. He recalls participating in student protests and how that shaped his worldview. Robert's story is a testament to how the events of our youth can ignite a long passion for advocacy and change. Professionally, this led him to a career of nonprofit organizations where he balanced the need for financial stability with his desire to make a difference in the world. These stories from James, Maria, and Robert provide just a glimpse into the diverse experiences of our generation. They illustrate how the era we grow up in can profoundly shape our approach to life, to work, and to money. I will add that each story is a thread in the larger tapestry of our generation's journey, a journey marked by change, resilience, and adaptability. And as I wrap up this segment, I hope these stories have given you a deeper appreciation of the formative years of the Exannuals and how they paved the way for the diverse, multifaceted lives we live today. And as we leave behind the post war era of recovery and optimism, let's venture into a period of profound transformation and self discovery. Let's look at the second point of today's show, coming of age, where we explore the pivotal years from the 1960s to the 1980s. This was a time when our generation truly began to find its footing and voice in a rapidly changing world. The 60s and 70s weren't just about cultural and social revolutions, okay? They were about personal revolutions as well. We as a generation were coming of age, stepping out of the shadows of our parents' post war conservatism into a world brimming with new ideas, challenges, and opportunities. It was a time of great political activism, questioning authority and pushing the boundaries of the status quo. Music wasn't just music anymore, it became a language of protest and expression. Fashion was no longer about conforming, it was about standing out. And our approach to money and careers began to shift as well. We were no longer satisfied with a linear path of get a job, buy a house, retire. We wanted more meaning, more excitement, and more fulfillment. In the 80s, this quest for more led to an era of unprecedented economic growth. The world of finance and business exploded with new opportunities. It was a decade characterized by bold ventures, technological advancements, and a newfound sense of global connectivity. Our generation was at the forefront, embracing these changes and shaping the world as we know it today. So let's delve into the stories of how we navigated these years of change. How did the social movement of the 60s and 70s influence our professional and financial decisions? How did the economic boom of the 80s shape our views on success and wealth? And most importantly, how did these experiences mold us into the people we are today? The 1960s were not just a decade, they were a movement. It was a time when the cultural and technological landscapes were evolving at a breakneck pace. One of the most awe-inspiring movements was the moon landing in 1969. I was 10 then. I remember my father, an avid BBC radio listener, just imagine a French guy, telling my brothers that some American astronaut landed on the moon. And it wasn't until many years later that I realized that my father was talking about Neil Armstrong, because I wasn't raised in America. For my generation, it was a moment that expanded our horizons, both literally and metaphorically. It showed us that anything was possible. Musically, this was the era of rock and roll. Bands like the Beatles and the Rolling Stones weren't just creating music, they were shaping a culture. Their songs became anthems for a generation seeking change. The 1960s was also a remarkable era for Black musicians and bands, marked by groundbreaking sounds and influential movements in music that shaped the music industry and influenced the cultural landscape of their time and beyond. I'm talking about the Supremes, the Temptations, James Brown, the Queen of Soul, Aretha Franklin, Marvin Gaye, Stevie Wonder, Ray Charles, Sam Cooke, whose A Change Is Gonna Come became an anthem for the civil rights movement. I'm talking about Jimi Hendrix and many more. But it wasn't all music and moon landings, though. The 60s were also a time of intense social change. The civil rights movement, led by figures like Martin Luther King Jr., brought issues of racial inequality to the forefront. This movement didn't just change laws, It changed hearts and minds. It taught us the power of standing up for what's right, a lesson that has stayed with many of us in how we approach our personal and professional lives. And as we move into the 1960s, the momentum of change continued. The feminist movement gained traction, challenging traditional gender roles and opening up new opportunities, particularly in the workplace. For many women of our generation, this was a turning point in how they viewed their careers and financial independence. On the technological side of things, the 70s introduced us to early stages of the digital age. So the first personal computers began to appear, hinting at the coming revolution in how we would work, how we would communicate, and how we would manage our finances. I remember my first encounter with computers. It was bulky and slow by today's standards, but it was a glimpse into the future. Then came the 1980s, a decade often characterized by economic growth and technological advancement. The rise of the personal computer and the introduction of the internet began to reshape our lives in profound ways. It was also a time of financial deregulation, which led to an explosion in entrepreneurial ventures. This era was marked by a sense of optimism and a belief in the power of innovation and free markets. It was during this time that many boomers, baby boomers that is, started their businesses or climbed the corporate ladder driven by the philosophy of the 80s. The stock market became a more common topic of conversation, and for many, it was their first venture into investing. It appears that the societal shifts of the 60s and 70s, coupled with the technological and economic boom of the 80s, created a perfect environment for Exannual generation to challenge the status quo, as it was a time of great experimentation and redefinition, not just in culture and technology, but in the very concept of what it meant to live a fulfilling life. I will end this point by saying that these decades were more than just a period of our youth. They were the predicament in which our generation was forged. The experiences of these years, the movement we were part of, the music we listened to, the groundbreaking events we witnessed, all played a pivotal role in shaping our perspective on life, work, and money. These decades set the stage for who we are today, a generation unafraid to push boundaries, unafraid to embrace change, and unafraid to redefine what is possible. So, as we leave the revolutionary 60s and 70s behind, along with the economically vibrant 80s, it is time to step into another significant chapter in our journey, the transformative period from the 1980s to the 2000s. This era was marked not just by economic growth and technological innovation, but also by a shift in our collective mindset. We were no longer just participants in a changing world. We were now shaping the world. The 80s and 90s saw the dawn of the digital age, a time when the world began to shrink thanks to advances in technology and communication. Remember the first time you used a computer or sent an email? These experiences, which seem so ordinary now, were revolutionary back then. They changed how we worked, how we connected with others, and even how we manage our finances. The advent of the internet, mobile technology, and online banking transformed our relationship with money, making it more dynamic and more global. But it wasn't all about technology, though. This period also saw significant cultural shifts: the fall of the Berlin Wall, the end of apartheid in South Africa, and the rise of environmental consciousness. They really reshaped our understanding of the world and our place in it. Our generation was at the forefront, advocating for change and driving progress. So, in this segment, I will look into how these years of innovation and change impacted our lives and our careers and our financial decisions. How did the digital revolution influence our approach to wealth and investment? And how did the cultural shifts of the time reflect in our life choices? I'm going to start this point with the advent of the digital age. The 1980s and 90s were revolutionary in terms of technology. The introduction of the personal computer was just the beginning. I remember the first time I laid my hand on a keyboard. It felt like stepping into a new world. I didn't even know how to type. These machines transformed our work, making everything from writing to accounting faster and more efficient. Then came the internet. It wasn't just a new way to access information, it was a paradigm shift in communication. Email replaced letters. Online forums became the new community spaces. The digital age was not just knocking on our door, it had bursted wide open. Equally important was the fact that our generation showed incredible adaptability during this time. We went from rotary phones to mobile phones and from libraries to search engines. For many of us, this transition was not easy, but it was exciting. We were learning new skills and we were keeping up with our children who seemed to be just digital natives and embracing a world of possibilities. Let me share a story about Diana, a friend and former colleague. Dee, as I call her, worked as a librarian in the 80s when computers started becoming mainstream. She saw many of her colleagues struggle with or even resist the change, but not Diana. She dove in headfirst and learned everything she could about digital databases and online cataloging. Today, she still works. She is a digital archivist, blending her love for the old with the new. So now I will talk about how the workplace evolved and the family dynamic changed during those many decades. I will say that the digital age transformed the workplace forever. Remote work, digital collaboration tools, and flexible working hours, which are common today, began their journey in these decades. We started seeing more women in the workforce, trying to harmonize careers and families in ways that were not possible before. I also remember how these changes affected family dynamics. Dinner conversation shifted from school and work to discussion about the latest technology. Parents and children found common ground in gadgets and the internet, sometimes reversing the roles where children became teachers. Isn't that something? I will also add that this era was not just about adopting new technologies, it was about a cultural shift. We were moving from the tangibility of vinyl records and printed photos to the ephemeral nature of MP3s and digital images. It was a bittersweet transition for many. There was a charm in the old ways, but the efficiency and accessibility of the digital age were undeniable. So, looking back, it is clear that the period from the 1980s to the 2000s were more than just technological advancement. It was about adapting to and embracing a rapidly changing world. Our generation was unique in that we bridge the gap between the analog past and the digital future. And we understood the value of what was being left behind, but also the potential of what was to come. And as I close this point, let's remember the resilience and adaptability that define our generation during these years. We didn't just witness a digital revolution, we were an active part of it, shaping the future for ourselves and the generation to come. So, moving right along, as we leave behind the exhilarating ride of the 80s and 90s with its technological marvels and cultural shift, we now arrive at a more recent chapter in our story, the generation from the 2000s to the present day. This era, the new millennium, has been a time of unprecedented change and complexity. We've seen the rise of social media, the evolution of artificial intelligence, and a greater awareness of global issues like climate change and social justice. It's a world vastly different from the one we grew up in, yet the experiences of our past have uniquely equipped us to navigate these changes. In this segment, I would like to discuss how our generation, seasoned with years of experience and wisdom, is adapting to and influencing the modern world. How have we embraced the rapid advancements in technology and communication? What roles are we playing in today's society, especially as mentors and leaders? And most importantly, how has our lifetime of experiences shaped our perspective on contemporary issues? I will share stories of resilience, adaptation, and influence, showing how the wisdom of our years is a vital asset in today's fast paced world. This is not just about keeping up with times, it's about using our unique insights to make meaningful impact. So, what has our generation's role been in this rapidly evolving landscape of the 21st century? Well, the 2000s to the present day have been a period of incredible technological advancement, no doubt about it. Social media, smartphones, and cloud computing have transformed how we interact, how we work, and how we live. For our generation, this has been a period of adaptation and reflection. We have embraced the conveniences of technology while maintaining a healthy skepticism born of our experiences in a less connected, more analog world. For example, the emergence of artificial intelligence, or AI, has been one of the most fascinating aspects of modern technology, hands down. For many of us, AI seemed like a concept from science fiction, but now it's a reality impacting various aspects of our lives. The way AI is reshaping industries from healthcare to finance is both exhilarating and at times daunting. Our generation has had to learn and adapt to these advancements, understanding how they complement rather than replace human ingenuity. I will also add that in discussing modern technological advancements, it is impossible to ignore the contributions of visionaries like Steve Jobs and Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg. Steve Jobs, with his revolutionary idea, transformed the way we interact with technology. His vision for Apple brought us the iPhone, which has changed communication fundamentally. Elon Musk ventures into electric cars with Tesla, and space travel with SpaceX has pushed the boundaries of what we thought was possible, inspiring us to think more about sustainability and the future of our planet. Mark Zuckerberg's Facebook has changed social networking, creating new ways for us to connect and share information. While these platforms have their challenges, they have undeniably shaped the social fabric of the modern world. I would say that the rise of social media has been one of the most defining features of the modern digital age. Platforms like Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and LinkedIn has not only changed our social interactions, but have also impacted how we consume news, engage with politics, and even handle our finances. For our generation, social media has been a double edged sword, a tool for staying connected with friends and family, yet also a new ground to navigate with concerns over privacy and misinformation. I will end this point by saying that we must appreciate how our generation has not only adapted to these monumental shifts, but also how we continue to influence them. We are not just passive observers of the rise of AI and the tech revolution spearheaded by Jobs and Musk and Zuckerberg, or the social media explosion. We are active participants using our wisdom and experience to mentor the younger generation and shape these technologies for the better. As we reflect on this incredible journey through the dawn of the digital age and into the heart of the 21st century, it's time to turn our attention to the future and look at the legacy and future of the Exannuals. In this segment, I will look ahead, also considering the indelible mark our generation have left on the world, from the analog days of our youth to the digital era of our adulthood. We have been a part of remarkable transformations. But what does this mean for our legacy? How will future generation remember the exannual or the elderly, as my kid said? And perhaps more importantly, what role do we still have to play in shaping the future? We have seen the world change in unimaginable ways, and we've adapted at every turn. Now, as we look forward, we must ask ourselves, how can we use our unique blend of experience and wisdom to continue contributing to a world that is evolving faster than ever? Well, our generation, the ex-annual or the elderly, has been at the forefront of some of the most significant changes in modern history. We have seen the transition from analog to digital. We've experienced the birth of the internet, and we witness the evolution of global communication. Our contributions go beyond just adapting to these changes. We have been pioneers and we have been innovators and leaders in various fields. We were the generation that championed civil rights, pushed for gender equality, and started conversation about environmental responsibility. We have influenced music, art, technology, and politics. Our footprint are in every sphere of life, and these contributions have paved the way for the advancements we see today. Even now, as many of us venture into our later years, our participation in society remains vibrant. We are mentors, consultants, and advisors, sharing our wealth of knowledge and experience with younger generations. In our communities, we are active volunteers using our time and skills to make a difference. In the business world, many of us have taken on roles as our board members or part time consultants, guiding new ventures with our seasoned insights. Our financial acumen, developed over years of navigating various economic landscapes, is invaluable in today's complex market scenarios. So, what will then be our role in the future? Well, looking ahead, the role of the ex-annual or elderly in shaping the future remains significant. We are not just passing on our knowledge, we are actively contributing to the dialogue on global issues. With the challenges of climate change, technological ethics, and social equity, our perspective, one that balances experience with adaptability, is more important than ever. We stand in a unique position to bridge the gap between traditional wisdom and modern innovation. Our understanding of the past, combined with an appreciation for the future, allows us to contribute to a world that is sustainable, inclusive, and forward thinking. So, as we think about the legacy of our generation, it goes beyond the tangible achievements. We leave behind a legacy of resilience, a legacy of adaptability, and relentless pursuit of progress. We have shown that change, though challenging, is an opportunity for growth and innovation. Our legacy is one of embracing the new while respecting the past. Our hope for future generations is that they take the lessons we've learned and the foundations we have built and continue to build a world that values connections and understanding and sustainable progress. So I will end this point by stating that the story of the Exannuals is a testament to the enduring spirit of our generation. We have navigated uncharted waters and we look to the future. Let's continue to lead with wisdom, courage, and an open heart. Now, before I end this episode, let me briefly reflect on our enlightening conversation today. It was a long one. I began by exploring the Exannual generation's journey, starting from the post-war era of the 40s and 50s to the revolutionary 60s and 70s and into the transformative 80s and 90s. Each era was characterized by significant cultural and technological shifts that shaped our perspectives on life, work, and finance. Moving forward, I talked about adapting to change. A recurring theme was our generation's incredible adaptability. As we witness the transition from analog to digital, we embrace the introduction of computers and the internet and adapted to the rapid changes in technology, maintaining relevance and competence in a fast evolving world. Then I delve into how the music and cultural icons of our time, from the Queen of Soul, Aretha Franklin, to Elon Musk, influence our social and technological landscapes, shaping our values and the way we interact with the world. I also talked about our role as mentor and leaders. I discussed how the Exannual are navigating the challenges of the modern world, including AI, the explosion of social media, and the ongoing technological revolution, using our wisdom to positively influence these developments. And lastly, I reflected on the legacy and future of our generation. Our resilience, adaptability, and commitment to progress have not only left a significant mark on history, but also positioned us to continue influencing future generations. At the end of the day, the Exannual generation or elderly stands as a testament to the enduring human spirit's ability to embrace change, overcome challenges, and continually contribute to the betterment of society, all while balancing the wisdom of experience with the innovation of the present. This brings us to the end of today's episode. And as you know, I like to end my show with some wise word, and here they are. Our journey through the 80s and 90s was a testament to our resilience. We embrace the dawn of the digital age, witnessing the birth of the internet and the transformation of our daily lives. Here you have it. I want to thank you for joining me on this reflective journey on my birthday. Yes, today is my birthday. I am your host, Marie-Jo César, wishing you a life filled with wisdom, purpose, and financial well-being. I will be back again next week. Until then, continue merging life and money. Bye for now.